Fun. Foam Foot 420, John Williams, Eric Winchester, Tracy Bogert, Hector Gomez, Clint Proctor back in San Antonio, and apparently working out from what I'm seeing on Facebook.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is a Taco Tuesday. Praise the Lord. Praise Tom Landry, who is a football god. I am the founding member of the PTL Club, PTL, which stands for Praise Tom Landry, the greatest coach in the history of sports. Thank you very much. With all due apologies to one Gregory Charles Popovich, who was on my Mount Rushmore of greatest coaches ever. In fact, I'm going to put Shannon Salty Sweeney on the spot right out of the gate. Shannon, here we go. My Mount Rushmore of all-time head coaches, first and foremost in the position of George Washington, Tom Landry. Second, right next to him, Greg Popovich. Right next to him, we talked about him last week, John Wooden, head coach at UCLA, which pains me because I went to USC and I therefore must despise UCLA, except for that Troy Aikman guy who was pretty good and went to UCLA. And Jimmy Johnson. I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, so Jimmy Johnson makes my Mount Rushmore of Landry, Popovich, Wooden, and Jimmy Johnson. And before we force you to answer that question, good morning, Shannon Salty Sweeney.
Good morning, sir.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm now in my head. I'm thinking about this.
I know. I
haven't really thought about this question.
I don't even let you wake up. I don't let the caffeine kick in. I just go all Mike Wallace and just drop a bomb of a question on you.
I don't know that I have like a full-fledged monument that people are traveling to see at this point. And I'm only 28. I've only seen so many dynasties.
Yeah, well, it's yours. It's your
sports career, but
it's your personal Mount Rushmore of coaches. It's whatever you make it.
This week specifically, Nick Saban.
Woo!
I've watched him ever since he beat Texas in that 2009 BCS championship. I mean, Alabama has been rolling. He just extended his contract.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he'll never leave.
God.
He's for sure never leaving Alabama. He'll never coach anywhere else. I believe that to the fullest. But what he's done there and continues to do there year after year, while other programs like, oh, we lost our quarterback. What are we going to do? Oh, we lost our star running back. What are we going to do? He continues to have Heisman candidates and Jim Thorpe Award candidates, and is always in the conversation for playoffs or champion, whatever it is. They are always there. You have to put them there for the college football world. And then, again, I'm 28. I've only seen so much. Cowboys, unfortunately, haven't seen much of the winning side. So I got to go Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson.
Just from what he did with the Lakers, and then after watching The Last Dance and really understanding what he did with the Bulls, you got to go Phil Jackson.
Okay, those are very big time, credible.
I've got right now.
So there's two open spaces on your Mount Rushmore. Okay, that's fair enough. Nick, those are very strong ones. Obviously, Nick Saban. For years and years when I was growing up, the consensus was the greatest college football coach, ironically also from Alabama, although he made a stop at Texas A&M, was Paul Bear Bryant. Yep. But I really think now, and my God, to have done it in this era, in the Bear Bryant era, you could have as many kids on the roster as you wanted. And famously, Darrell Royal, one of the reasons Texas was so dominant back in the 60s and early 70s and Darrell Royal era was he would just go get all the greatest players in Texas. If there were like 6 great quarterbacks in Texas, he just, sign them all. It's like, yep, you're coming to Texas.
New meaning of next man up mentality.
Right. Well, and some of those great players would just sit on the bench because he could do that. And so other teams in the state or in their conferences couldn't get those players because they all wanted to go to Texas. So for Nick Saban to do, and you mentioned he's in the news, he signed a contract extension, so very timely and newsworthy of you to select Nick Saban. For him to have this unbelievable run of success and national championships. And if not every year, he's knocking on the door every year. To do that in 2021 and the 2000s is insanely prolific. And I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again. I'm still amazed that he's able to do it year in and year out.
It's unfair, really.
Yeah,
it is.
I hate him.
And as a Texas fan, like, I want to say Mac Brown just because I obviously saw what he did.
Yeah.
But even what he's doing now in North Carolina, I mean, a program that was seen, I don't want to say a laughingstock, but they're a basketball school, right?
Yeah.
And for him to bring them into the prominence they've been in these last 2 years, doesn't make Texas look so good.
As documented by your boy Paul Feinbaum last week.
But they are like actually friends and have been friends.
Yeah.
So Paul has not had anything good to say about Texas since 2012.
Yeah. Speaking of friends, I just throw this out real quick. And it's out there, I think, on HBO. Is it on HBO somewhere? There was a documentary maybe 2 years ago. And I generally don't like either of these guys, but they are friends. It's Nick Saban and Bill Belichick just sitting down for like 90 minutes in this documentary talking football. And you've
talking or mumbling?
Both, actually. But it's so weird because I'm predisposed not to like either one of them, mainly out of jealousy. Just I'm sick of Alabama, and I was sick of the Patriots winning all the time. But you hear these guys just talk informally, and you get a sense of their just absolute love. And to be this successful, you got to love it and have a passion for it. Their love of football, and this really kind of humanizes them. I'll Google it during the break and throw out the actual title of the documentary. And normally it's like I wouldn't watch. It's like, I don't like Saban. I don't like Belichick. I don't want waste 90 minutes of my life watching. It's very good. It's really, if you're a football fan, college or pro, it's very, very good. And arguably these two dudes, the most successful over the last 20 or 30 years in pro and college. So anyway, it's a cool thing.
Did you put Belichick on your Rushmore?
Did not.
I was going to say, neither of us did. I don't know if that
Jimmy Johnson beat him out. Yeah.
Cowboys or if we're just, adamant that Tom Brady is what made that Patriots run possible.
I think both.
A little less Belichick.
I think both. And again, the beauty of a personal Mount Rushmore is it's yours. So I don't have to put Belichick.
Yeah.
I don't have to put Nick Saban, although you did, and that was fairly objective. That was pretty good. So kudos to you, Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. On a Taco Tuesday, are you planning a taco run after the show? Because most taco joints were not open at 5 a.m. when you and I both rolled into our respective studios.
Unfortunately not. I've already got my meals planned for the day. Tacos aren't part of it.
Oh.
Having a friend over to enjoy my backyard this evening.
Woo!
We're doing flatbread and salad and wine.
Wow. How shishi that is. Your brand new backyard patio furniture, flatbread, salad, and wine.
You believe it?
My goodness. You should invite Greg Popovich over. He's a big wine guy. Speaking of Greg Popovich, his longest tenured assistant, and it's Mike Budenholzer, now the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. An incredible journey. The dude started out playing for Pop, I believe. I'll have to Google this. This is from memory, and I could have it wrong because it's 6:19 in the morning and the coffee hasn't kicked in yet. I believe he started out playing for Pop at Pomona Fitzer way back. Anyway, Pop brings him into the video room with the Spurs. He works in the video room in his 20s, breaking down videotape for the Spurs, works his way up to assistant coach, eventually becomes Pop's number one assistant. I believe 17 years as an assistant, 19 years with the organization under Pop, starting in the video room. And the talk is now, Shannon, and I watched that game last night, Brooklyn, for the second straight game, annihilated the Milwaukee Bucks. Final score last night, Brooklyn 125, Milwaukee 86, and all over social media and mainstream media, they're talking about it on sports shows on television and radio. It's like Mike Budenholzer, especially if you're swept, and now that's a higher probability. This series is looking ugly. Brooklyn is up 2-0. Milwaukee has not been in either game. A guy who, each year has led Milwaukee to a lot of wins, usually right around 60 when they play an 82-game schedule, which they didn't this year, but has disappointed in the playoffs. And here's a guy, and you've talked about this, Shannon. It's like you have this team winning every year. You have this team winning its division every year. Sometimes and often, Milwaukee has the best record in the Eastern Conference, but you're not delivering the goods in the playoffs. I believe a high probability, and I'm not the only one, Mike Budenholzer, this bud's not for you, Milwaukee. Could be looking for a job by next week. This series could be over in 2 more games.
I suffered secondhand embarrassment watching this game last night. It was that bad for the Bucks. And you certainly wouldn't think that they just swept their previous series 4-0 and have been sitting at home. Unless apparently they were sitting cross-legged and their legs fell asleep because they cannot get up and down the court. They're turning the ball over twice as much as their opponent. They're not hitting the free throws, which we all know are free. But let's be honest, even if they hit all those free throws, they would still be in a giant hole in both of their games so far against the Nets. Giannis, he looks very much less than the MVP that we know him as. It's not like they're lacking for characters around him, but I mean, they're just not guys with names like Kyrie Irving or James Harden. And even without James Harden, the Nets are rolling. And at this point, you probably rest James Harden throughout this series, maybe even the next series, and just save him for the playoffs. I don't know. I feel like we're all wasting our time, and just go ahead and give the trophy to the Nets. Let's save our time. Let's focus on the possibility of the Olympics coming. Let these guys rest. Let them go play in the Olympics. Give them the time off before they have to go play. We're all going through the motions now. I felt like last night's game, people are like, oh, you watch it like it's a car crash. Like, no, that's a car crash where I have one glimpse. I know exactly what happened. I don't need to watch it anymore. And I put my head back towards the road. Like, it's so bad. I don't know how they fix it. It's not a home court advantage thing. Certainly not. You can't play that bad on the road in the playoff second round of the Eastern Conference. Like, it's horrendous. I feel bad for Mike Budenholzer. We talk about it a lot. Like, the idea of you're coaching, you're not getting to the playoffs, so you're fired. Okay, you're coaching, you're getting to the playoffs every year, but you're not winning a championship, so you're fired. You're coaching, you have an MVP player, you're getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, you're fired. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for Milwaukee other than you have to bring another superstar there, and we all know how hard that's going to be.
Yeah.
The only glimmer of hope is that you signed Giannis to a long-term deal, and that maybe he himself is a big enough star to bring someone and say, look, you're all I need. You come here, we get it done. Because nobody is stopping the train that is the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, and that's part of the unfairness here. If indeed Mike Budenholzer is fired, which is crazy that we're saying that. I mean, you look at least the last 3 seasons of the Milwaukee Bucks, and regular season, they've been spectacular. But so on a certain level, this Brooklyn Nets team, and you're right, Shannon, even without James Harden, they're hitting on all cylinders. On a certain level, you ran into a buzzsaw. It's a super team. Maybe nobody is going to beat the Brooklyn Nets. So maybe it's really unfair to judge Mike Budenholzer in this series against the Brooklyn Nets. But you talk about bringing another superstar. I think one of the problems for the Bucks, a couple of years ago, they paid a lot of money to Chris Middleton, which is supposed to be, the Robin to Giannis's Batman. Yeah. And I think Chris Middleton is overrated. He's good, but he's not a star. It's not like, it's not like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. It's not like LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Chris Middleton, I don't believe is a Robin to a Batman. I think he's good. He's aight, but I think he's overvalued. So one of the problems here is you've got here's your starting lineup for the Bucks. Giannis, superstar. Okay, PJ Tucker, the other forward. Your center, Brooke Lopez, nice, but whatever. Chris Middleton at small forward, and point guard Drew Holiday, who's good but not great.
Yeah.
So I think one of the big problems with the Bucks is your supporting cast around Giannis Antetokounmpo is just not special. You need a lot more help for Giannis on that team if you're going to get to the finals, especially now that you've got Brooklyn, a super team in the Eastern Conference.
The perfect example for Chris Middleton is, last week the Vanessa Bryant story came out about the Nike prototype of her shoe made for in honor of Gigi coming out. Lo and behold, we find out Chris Middleton had worn that set of shoes during the Heat game. Had he been a true superstar, I mean, shoes are the first thing people look at, specifically during the playoffs when they get more and more crazy of, oh my God, look at what he's wearing. Look at the shoe. It's honoring a Bryant. Like, it's fantastic. We didn't get that until this other story came out almost a week later. So yeah, he's not the superstar that's going to get it done for Giannis and the Bucks in the future, or even during this series.
We'll talk more about the NBA playoffs. One more quick thought. If indeed Mike Budenholzer is fired by the Milwaukee Bucks, most people believe Becky Hammon would be the heir apparent to Greg Popovich. If you're the Spurs and you got Mike Budenholzer, the longest tenured Pop disciple out there, who's won lots and lots of regular season games, do you consider him down the line? Does Pop even maybe recommend him down the line? I don't know. Anyways, it's just a thought. We'll get into that. Green Bay Packer minicamp opens today. Aaron Rodgers, are you coming? I don't think so. We'll talk about that. A former New York Giants head football coach has passed away. We'll tell you who he is. We'll talk about him. We'll tell you what the poll question is. We will introduce your soundscape stylist. He is back after blowing us off yesterday. Super Dave Ayler is back. We'll say hello to Dave, see what is on his mind and on his sports radar this morning. You're welcome to join us, as a lot of people already have on Facebook Live. We stream live video on AM 1300 The Zone and Ticket 760's Facebook pages. You can get into that video via YouTube and Twitch as well. Phone number, if you want to join us on the phone lines, 800-707-9760, 800-707-9760. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. We're with you till 9. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Whoa. David Valles, good morning. Christopher Summers says don't hire him. Yeah, Mike Budenholzer, seems like a nice guy to me. But do you want a nice guy to be your head coach? He just doesn't seem to have fire or gravitas, where Pop has fire and gravitas. Becky Hammon has fire and gravitas. Mike Budenholzer, I don't see it. And God love him. And I wish him the best. And I wish he'd win a damn championship in Milwaukee. Michelle Johnson, good morning. Foamfoot 420, David Valles, Eric Winchester, Dave Emilio Castanuela, Greg Helt, Eric Winchester, Tracy Bogert, Jason Paniagua, Luisa Alanis, Clint Proctor back in San Antonio, John Williams from Dallas, Jason Garcia, welcome in.
Chris, are
Steve
you going to do the high five?
Say again?
Are you going to do the high five?
Yes, I will, but jump in with me and we'll talk about her. Let me pull that story out. That's a good reminder. And then I'm going to go grab coffee real quick. There it is. Oh, I know. I'm on the wrong Twitter page. I'm on the Ticket 760 Twitter page. Okay, what the heck happened here? Come on. Got my coffee. In my huge, I don't even know, what is that, 64 ounce, 72 ounce? I don't even know what that is. My big strato tanker of coffee, which I love that. It dripped on the floor. Sweet. How hard is it to pour coffee? Apparently harder than it should be. Damn it. I do wipe up my mess. All right, I'll be right back. Mask on. Sorry, Governor. Jerry Lauder, good morning. Robert Almaraz, good morning. Jason Garcia, go Red Sox. Come on, man. What are you, from Boston? Jason says that's 320 ounces. Am I drinking 320 ounces of coffee? Robert says, I had two great coaches, a Harley riding shop teacher with a thumb cut off. Nothing like a shop teacher with his thumb cut off. And a military police baseball coach. I imagine he was tough. Jason Garcia says, I'm wearing my grunt style salty shirt in honor of her saltiness, Shannon. We were inside the wall, 74-79 in Germany. That must have been an experience. So Robert and Jason joining us from, and Foam Foot from YouTube this morning. Welcome in from YouTube. Here we come. Welcome in on a Taco Tuesday. Chris Duel show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney and the man who makes the entire show go, your sound stylist. Usually down the hall. In fact, every morning, actually, before he even does it. This is his second radio show of the morning, every morning, as he starts the morning piloting the Millennium Falcon down the hall over at News Radio 1200 WOAI, the 50,000 watt blowtorch, as it was dubbed many years ago by Jim Rome. He is the one and only Dave Ayler. Dave, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Chris. And I got to comment you on your shirt.
Yes.
Pretty impressed.
Vintage 1980s Late Night with David Letterman t-shirt. Yes.
I had one of those too, except it was in blue. And it went through the dryer too many times and fell apart.
Very nice.
Did you go?
I did not go. I've been so old. I've been to the Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson in Burbank, California back in the day, but I have not been to the Letterman show in New York. I've been by the big thing where you see the, near Times Square, wherever the Letterman.
30 Rock?
Yeah, 30 Rock. 30 Rock, it's the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Yeah, Ed Sullivan Theater.
Yeah.
30 Rock is NBC.
Have you been to Letterman, Dave, or Shannon?
No, I never have. Somebody brought me a shirt back one time when he was interning for Letterman. And unfortunately, like I said, it fell apart. And I've always been a big Letterman fan.
Yeah.
I don't know that going to a taping of a talk show is as much fun as it seems. Because it's not all done in that hour, right? I mean, it's like a 2-hour ordeal.
Sometimes, yeah. Well, it's good. I think it's good to do once, just because you pull back the curtain, and you kind of see how the sausage is made a little bit. So I wouldn't do it a lot, but it's kind of fun for one time.
I went to a X Factor taping once when they was here with like Britney Spears and Simon Cowell.
Whoa. So you were in the presence of Britney and Simon.
I know, at the same time. Who could have thought?
My goodness.
Of course, I think that show got canceled after that season. So, but the people watch those shows and they're like, why are there bad people on there? Like they go through other judges before they get to the live taping judges, and it's they put bad people on there and they are bad and they do it on purpose.
Yeah, because it's bad people are entertaining and bad people drive.
I cringe.
Yeah.
All that is the Gong Show from way back in the 70s.
Oh, I used to love the Gong Show.
The Gong Show.
Chuck Barris.
The Gong Show was full of bad acts, and they'd have like maybe one or two good acts on the entire show.
Now, was that summer prime time or was that prime time?
The Gong Show was prime time when it happened. Well, it was a phenomenon, like mid to late 70s,
and at times it was dirty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was part of. Yeah. There was a subtext. Chuck Barris was the host, and there was one woman who was a judge. God, I'm forgetting her name, brunette, but everything was sexual innuendo. Everything she said while judging these contestants, it was always, there was subtext. It was always it was clean enough for TV, but if you listened carefully, it was raunchy.
She had her name was some like letters like JC something.
Yeah, JC Morgone. JC Morgan. JC Morgone. Yeah. Boom. When you got me the initials, it came back to me. My God, Shannon, that show hasn't been on TV since like 1977. And I just remember the name of a judge. The heck is wrong with me? Wow.
How many channels were on the TV at that time?
3. 4 if you count PBS. There was ABC, NBC, CBS, your local affiliates. And there was 4 if you count PBS.
And they tried to bring that back with maybe a couple of years ago with I can't think of what his name was, but it wasn't very good.
No. So there's that. See, it all started with, and speaking of t-shirts, by the way, Dave Ayler, once again, sir, you wear a nondescript green t-shirt. What is up with that?
Well, I don't. It's Taco Tuesday, and I don't have any food related. I gotta buy you a taco shirt. I could just maybe get you a Taco Cabana shirt, or we go old trendy. I'll get you a Torchy's taco shirt. Look, Torchy's isn't bad.
Torchy's is so good, you guys.
I think there's places that are better, but
underrated.
But
they don't claim to be authentic Mexican tacos.
No, but they're not. It's tacos. You can't screw that up too bad.
Best queso in the world.
Ooh, you had me at best queso in the world. I have not.
The world.
All right. There's a relatively new one. It's Loop 1604 in between 281 and Blanco. So on my way home from the station every morning, and they're not open when we get off work at 9, but there's a Torchy's taco, a relatively new one. They got a big sign out front, now hiring. So there's a relatively new one, Loop 1604 in San Antonio. So I will. In fact, today, maybe Shannon, today's the day. I'm gonna go to Torchy's Tacos, imbibe, consume some tacos, and say, "Damn it, I want some of that best queso in the world. Hit me."
Or damn good, as they refer to their menu items.
Woo, damn good. Speaking of damn good, something that is always damn good is the high five play of the day.
Oh, yes,
and not just the high five play of the day that is damn good, but the actual venues in the Austin area. There are 2 of them. High five. And if you're lucky, if you walk into one of them, you may see Shannon Salty Sweeney wielding an axe. And no, she's not an axe murderer as far as we know, but they have axe throwing at high five, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. Both locations, Lakeway and on Anderson. And as we talk tacos, it is a Taco Tuesday. So $2 tacos, $2 domestic beers, and $2 laser tag games. Get out to a high five near you and watch Trae Young beat up on the 76ers again tonight.
That's right. 2 games in the NBA tonight. The early one, Trae Young hopefully beating the Sixers. That's 6:30 on TNT. And your late game, game 1 between the Utah Jazz and the evil Los Angeles Clippers, led by Beelzebub himself, Kawhi Leonard. Not that I'm bitter. Okay, I'm bitter. High five play of the day, and remember her name, because if it keeps going, we may be witnessing history. 17-year-old American Coco Gauff just keeps on winning. She advanced to the quarterfinals of the French Open. She overwhelmed Yons Jabir. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing her name. 6-3, 6-1 at the French Open yesterday. Coco Gauff became the youngest woman to reach the quarterfinals in any Grand Slam tournament since 2006. If you wake up early, like Shannon and Dave and I do, tomorrow morning at 4 a.m, Coco Gauff will take on Barbara Krejcikova from the Czech Republic at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. I think that's on ESPN. I'll have to check it out. Coco Gauff currently ranked at number 24 in the world. And I'm all in, Shannon. I want Coco Gauff to just win the whole darn thing. Let's make some history at age 17. Let's see, she's in the quarterfinals, so she has to win one. 2 would get her to the semifinal. 1 gets her to the semifinals, and then the finals. 3 more. She just wins 3 more matches, and Coco Gauff could be your French Open champion at age 17 from America. America.
Can you believe that?
I love it. I love it.
Here I am talking sports and drinking Dunkin', just, thinking I'm living my best life. And there she is, 17.
My God.
Going to be a French Open champion. The Venus sisters keep getting older.
True.
Their tennis play is very much still at an elite level, but there will come a day when we will be without both of them on the tour. And I think for a long time could that be like the end of prominence of tennis and sport, and who is going to, who are they passing the torch to? Because for a while it just looked like maybe they were just going to put it down. But now you have the likes of Coco and Naomi, and they are killing it. They're again 17, and Naomi's 23. Tennis is in very good hands, and it's so exciting to see her representing the USA over there in the French Open. I don't know if she's going to be in the Olympics, but that would be awesome to see her.
Ooh, yeah.
Well. So 4 a.m, you say tomorrow?
4 a.m. tomorrow morning.
All right.
I will work on finding whether it's ESPN or what network that's on.
Well, it should be. I don't know how generally long tennis matches last, but maybe by the time the show starts, we'll have we'll be able to give her another high five.
That's right.
Just for winning. And
Yeah, we hope we will probably. It should be wrapping up by about the time we go to air tomorrow, so we will know tomorrow at the top of the show if Coco Gauff is in the semifinals of the French Open. I'm looking at her Wikipedia page right now, Shannon. Her tennis idols, and you just brought them up, Serena and Venus Williams, which is kind of cool. And here she is at 17 and in the conversation. And I know one of the Williams sisters was eliminated just a couple of days ago from the French Open. So here she is going deeper into this tournament than at least one of the Williams sisters. So my goodness, how cool would that be? I hope she just keeps on winning. That'll be a great story. It already is. I mean, if she's done here, it's already a great story. But based on what I'm reading here, her opponent tomorrow morning at 4 a.m, Barbara Krejcikova of the Czech Republic, is not ranked, whereas Cory Gauff has a number 24 in front of her name, ranked 24. So, I mean, theoretically, on paper, you would think Coco is favored in this match tomorrow to advance to the semifinals of the French Open. So hopefully she does that. Very, very cool. You mentioned Shannon, and again, you can go see this at High Five tonight, 6:30. Atlanta Hawks at the Philadelphia 76ers. We talked earlier about Mike Budenholzer probably being on the hot seat in Milwaukee as they're down 2-0 to the Brooklyn Nets after getting annihilated last night, 125-86, Brooklyn over Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, they have to be gripping a little bit right now. Granted, as you pointed out, we talked about yesterday, Atlanta in game 1 in Philly jumped out to this humongous early lead that Philadelphia in that second half and in the fourth quarter just kept making these runs, a 7-0 run, an 11-0 run, a 13-0 run. And then all of a sudden in the final minutes, Philadelphia had it down to single digits. I think they cut it to 3 at one point. So Philadelphia obviously showed no lead is safe against them, but Philadelphia, you know, and as I'm hearing myself say this, you don't want to lose and go down 0-2 at home in a series, although we saw the Clippers do that against the Dallas Mavericks and still win the thing in 7 games. That's rare. When you lose the first 2 games on your home floor, overwhelmingly the odds are you lose that series. So Philadelphia and Doc Rivers in his first year with Philadelphia after being fired by Kawhi and the Clippers at the end of last season, big game for both teams. Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks can take a huge commanding 2-0 lead, or Philly evens up this series, and it's a whole new series if, as expected, Philadelphia wins.
I'm having too much fun watching Trae Young.
Yeah.
That I have to push for the Hawks here. I do think, though, the Sixers pull it out. It is interesting, with Doc there now, you don't obviously get rid of him after year 1. I think at this point you kind of understand and accept that the Bills or Simmons and Embiid experiment it's not enough. And it's not gonna work. And now you have Embiid, who was injured in game 1. He finished that game, and apparently he's feeling much better as we get closer to tonight's game. But you certainly can't do it without him. I mean, he had 39 points in that last match.
I believe so, yeah. Sixers a 5.5-point favorite tonight. In the other game, the Jazz are a 4-point favorite over the Clippers tonight.
And the Sixers are in the offseason certainly going to look to make some moves to assist their roster. I've got some news on that in the Salty Shakedown today.
Very nice.
But yeah, and then in the Western Conference, we've got the Clippers. On to the next one. If anything, we can hope that them having to extend their series with the Mavs, that maybe they're a little gassed.
I hope so. And again, and I know, and I'm not proud of myself, Shannon. I know I have this Kawhi Leonard bitterness, angst. I can't let it go yet. And I know I'll let it go someday. I'm just not there yet. I just, if he wins again, you got LeBron out, so the Lakers aren't going to win it. Nobody in the West now scares me as far. I mean, hopefully Phoenix. Phoenix beat up on Denver last night, 122-105. Chris Paul, 21 points and 11 assists, a double-double. Maybe we are undervaluing Phoenix, and Utah had the best record in the NBA. Maybe we're undervaluing Utah. We get a really good snapshot tonight of, are the Jazz for real? Are they ready for prime time? This is a big one tonight for them.
Yeah, and they are favored by 4. So with that in mind, we'll see if they live up to it.
Lots coming up. We got to talk some NFL football. Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, their mini camp begins. Almost certainly Aaron Rodgers will be nowhere near the Packers mini camp. We'll talk Packers. Speaking of football, Tanner Carlson going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour, just after 8 o'clock. We'll talk Dallas Cowboys and more with Tanner. You can join us on Facebook Live. The Salty Shakedown coming up just after 7:30, along with This Day in Sports History, sports birthdays, and more. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for hanging out. It's the Chris Duel Show. Thank you, Clint Proctor, standing up for San Antonio Tacos. Marcos Munoz Jr. says Mike Myers was the host of the revamped Gong Show. I didn't see it. I didn't know that. Marcos on Facebook Live says Mike Myers was the host of the new Gong Show. I never saw it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. But he played like a different character. He played like an English guy or something.
Oh, okay.
But it was Mike Myers.
Okay. Well, it's funny you brought up J.P. Morgan. I remember now, Gene, the dancing machine.
And who's the lady that played like the adding machine?
Oh, God, I don't know.
I don't remember what her name was.
Yeah.
But like when they brought it back, I saw the first one. I go,
Yeah.
it's not as good.
Yeah, you would have to capture the magic of Chuck Barris. That's tough.
And I read Chuck
Yeah. Oh God, yes. And is it an urban legend, or wasn't he like involved in the CIA or something? He made that up? Yeah, because that was crazy. Yeah. Yeah, that show was must-see TV. I was in high school when the Gong Show came out. It was must-see TV for me. That's hilarious. That's funny. He said that the way he started that show was that he wanted to be like, find great acts, and expose, get him some exposure. And he started doing all these auditions, and everybody was terrible. And so he was, how about we do a show that has a bunch of bad acts and have like one or two good ones? That's how he started. A friend of mine became a career, and he's a pretty good comic. His name is Bob Zaney, but Bob Zaney got his start on the Gong Show. He was like a fat 17-year-old kid trying stand-up, and they kept bringing him back. He kept getting gonged, but he later like lost weight, and he became a very successful road comic. I mean, he's done like Letterman and some stuff. He's based out of LA now. He's made a career of it. Real good guy. That's right. He was tremendous. You're right. That show got how they got all those dirty acts on there is that when they especially towards the end, he would just look acts to see if they could get him past the censor. Oh, funny. Just to see what he could, what he could get on. Yeah.
I saw during the 80s, I saw so many comedians on there that went on to be huge.
Yeah.
I think it was the first time I ever saw Jay Leno was on.
Wow. Yeah, and notably, I don't know how familiar you are with Bill Hicks, but Hicks is like one of my favorites ever. But like Hicks's last chance to be on TV when he had pancreatic cancer, they cut his show from the Letterman show that night because he went too far. He was going after televangelists and going after religion, and they thought it was too much. They thought he crossed the line. Like 4 years later, he brought Bill Hicks's mom on the show. She like sat with him and he apologized for cutting Bill Hicks' final, and then they played it. It was like a really powerful moment on the Letterman show because Bill Hicks fans for the longest time were just so angry that they would, you know, he and his producers cut that final bit, which was like classic Bill Hicks. Yeah, Zany was on Letterman a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I told you the story. I lived in LA when Kinison was a doorman at the Comedy Store. So we would go to the Comedy Store and watch comics, and he wouldn't get on till like 1:30 in the morning. And he didn't have his look yet. He was like in a leisure suit, and he didn't have like the headdress and his whole exotic look. But we loved it. We used to call the Comedy Store and go, "Is Sam Kinison coming on tonight?" They go, "Kinison?" They go, "Yeah, like at 1:45. He's the doorman." Okay.
This is the Chris Duel Show. Now, Chris.
It is a Taco Tuesday. It is Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. Welcome in, or thanks for hanging out for a second hour. If you joined us in the first hour of the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. She's Shannon. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. Lots going on in the world of sports, and we are all over it with you a little bit later this hour. In fact, just after 7:30, we will bring you Shannon's Salty Shakedown, along with this day in sports history and sports birthdays. A couple of big NBA games last night. They were both blowouts. Two more NBA games tonight. Your blowouts last night: Brooklyn beat Milwaukee 125-86. Brooklyn up 2-0 in that series. We talked about it extensively in the 6 o'clock hour. Mike Budenholzer, the longest tenured assistant, 17 years, 19 years if you count his video room experience under Greg Popovich. A lot of people believe he is on the hot seat in Milwaukee if they don't start looking a whole lot better, and they look god-awful in that series thus far against the Brooklyn Nets. Nets up 2-0. Phoenix Suns took game one of their Western Conference semifinal series over the Denver Nuggets, 122-105. So tonight's games, early game at 6:30 on TNT. Sixers host the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference. Hawks up 1-0 in that series. And it'll be game one between the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers. That's your second game on TNT, 9 o'clock, the start there. And Shannon, also, mini camp begins for the Green Bay Packers, and very few people expecting Aaron Rodgers to show up for Packer mini camp today.
If you were Aaron Rodgers, would you show up?
Hell no.
I mean, what's it going to cost him? I think I saw it was like $98,000.
That's right. They can charge him it's either $93,000 or $98,000 per day. Now, that's weird. Obviously, when a guy is a holdout, they tend to, whenever they do get him into camp, they tend to waive that. So that's kind of an interesting, maybe a little artificial, but still, it makes headlines if we're finding you $98,000 a day.
I think it's also a sign that he's done. Because why would you go to a camp anyway if you're not just because you're not happy, but because you don't want anything to do with them anymore?
Yeah. And again, I've said this too, Shannon. I think the Tom Brady factor, especially for an elite quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady was not getting what he wanted and felt he needed in New England, where they won all those Super Bowls, where Robert Kraft loved him. And even though Bill Belichick was beginning to replace him with Jimmy Garoppolo, Brady went to Robert Kraft and said, this ain't working for me. So reportedly, Robert Kraft said to Bill Belichick, you will trade Jimmy Garoppolo. So he gifted him to Kyle Shanahan for a second-round draft pick for the 49ers. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, and given a quarterback's ego, while you and I look at Aaron Rodgers and probably say you're not as good as Brady in his prime, Aaron Rodgers probably in his mind thinks he's as good as Brady. And he probably thinks if I had the weapons in Green Bay that when it was working in New England, Gronk, Randy Moss, Julian Edelman, some good running backs, Aaron Rodgers probably, thinks I'm not getting what I need to be successful in Green Bay, but I took you guys to 2 NFC championship games anyway, and I'm the reigning MVP. And then he looks at Brady, and he saw that Brady found his way to greener pastures. So I really think part of what is motivating Aaron Rodgers is he's looking at what Tom Brady had and what went away in New England. And then he's looking at what Tom Brady did. Now, granted, it's different in that Tom Brady was a free agent and he was free to go sign with Tampa Bay. Aaron Rodgers is not free this season, so he's got to try to force a trade. But he's got, it seems to me, Aaron Rodgers has all the power in this equation. Now, Green Bay obviously can trade him to a team, and I think there's a no trade or a trade approval clause in Aaron Rodgers' contract, but Green Bay can trade him to a team that is of a lesser caliber, certainly, than even Green Bay is right now. But again, if you're Aaron Rodgers and you feel you've been dissed and you want out, I think he wants out, and I think he's going to make it happen.
It's interesting when you think about Brady leaving the Patriots and then going to a place like the Bucs, right? Because the Bucs have been a bit of a joke, right? I mean, we saw them on Hard Knocks. It was hilarious. They ended up firing like everybody after that season. And you bring in a guy like Tom Brady who says, look, I've been here before. And you mentioned he's going to kind of be a player coach role during this offseason. He pretty much did that last year, was saying, I think this guy should come in. I think this guy should come in. And it was the perfect pairing between him and Bruce Arians. I don't know if there's a spot like that available right now for Rodgers. So I think he can't have it all if he's wanting to do something similar to Tom Brady. But I think you're right. I think he holds all the cards. We heard the Packers president saying, calling him out. He's dividing the fan base. But I think if you're a fan of the Packers, emotionally, you're taking Aaron's side, right? Because of what he's done for you and your organization.
Yeah.
You hope that there is conclusion and everything settles and that he decides to stay and everybody's happy, healthy, whatever. But I think if you're a fan, the divide is leaning heavily towards Rodgers, and just let this guy either get what he wants or let him go elsewhere where he can have a shot at getting what he wants.
It's interesting, and I go back to Kawhi Leonard, and obviously tonight I'm pulling for Utah, and I've got this angst as a Spurs fan. When Kawhi Leonard left, I'm thinking back to before it was all over, when we knew there was something wrong, and Kawhi Leonard was supposedly working out in New York City, rehabbing, the ankle and things that were wrong with him. But it was a similar dynamic. It's like I knew as a Spurs fan, Kawhi Leonard was the future of the Spurs. If they wanted to be successful moving forward, they needed Kawhi Leonard. So my hope was the Spurs would find a way to make Kawhi Leonard happy, whatever that took. Obviously, it did not go that way. So as you describe, Shannon, I imagine if you're a Packers fan, you still have hope right now. Mm-hmm. Now, you and I were talking up until this week, now that Julio Jones is going to be a Tennessee Titan, we said the Packers need to cut their losses. They need to do whatever, admit they were wrong on Jordan Love, and do whatever they can do to make Aaron Rodgers happy. And you and I speculated one of the best gifts they could give Aaron Rodgers is, all right, here's the deal. We were wrong. We're going to trade Jordan Love to the Falcons. We'll throw in whatever else they want for Julio Jones. So we will admit to you we were wrong to go get a quarterback. Again, a parallel to Jimmy Garoppolo in New England when they admitted they were wrong, or at least Robert Kraft forced that admission from Bill Belichick. So they got rid of Garoppolo. So had they brought in Julio Jones, I think that alone, because two things, Aaron Rodgers wants respect. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You could make the argument other than Patrick Mahomes, because Brady's older, maybe Rodgers is number 2 right now that Drew Brees is retired. So you would have accomplished two things. You get rid of Jordan Love and you say, we made a mistake. And you're our man now, and we're sorry. And we're going to get you a perennial Pro Bowl wide receiver who's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's 32. He's got 3 good years left in him in Julio Jones. The fact they did not do that deal, and maybe it was a long shot that they were going to do that deal, just is one more indicator that the Packers management is not interested in appeasing Aaron Rodgers.
You mentioned Kawhi, and that immediately also made me think of LeBron leaving the Cavaliers the first time.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where Packers management is, of saying things like, you're dividing the fan base. Basically, if you leave, like, everyone's going to hate you. We have time to repair this, but it's not the more you hold out, the worse it's going to get. Whereas I think if you're on the side of the fan, you're seeing this as LeBron leading the Cavaliers for the second time, where he's done what he set out to do. And there's nothing more that that team and organization can do for him. So now he's looking elsewhere.
That's a very good point. And again, my goodness, that LeBron situation. And that's where I talk about LeBron, and a lot of people don't like him. And I did not like him when he went to Miami. And then they had that thing on stage where they go, not one, not two, not three, all these championships they were going to win. Did not happen. In LeBron's case, he did the right thing. He came back to Cleveland. That was his ancestral home, Akron, Ohio. Cleveland had never won a championship. He orchestrated that for them. And Cleveland ownership kind of got the message. It's like, either we help LeBron out and surround him with players who can win a title, and that turned out to be Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, or we're going to lose him. So here's a second chance. And they made amends, and they came together, even though there was bad blood and bad words between LeBron and the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers at the time. The other factor here in this Aaron Rodgers situation, Shannon, is not only is Aaron Rodgers the Packers' best chance to win a Super Bowl this year and in future years, the next few years, it's also Aaron Rodgers' best chance. The biggest speculation is that the Packers would trade him to the Denver Broncos. And while, yes, Peyton Manning was able to win a Super Bowl in Denver, you look at their supporting cast and it would be a different system. It would be a different situation. You had Green Bay in the NFC Championship game against Tom Brady. If they let Aaron Rodgers throw the ball on fourth down and not kick the field goal, who knows? Maybe Green Bay wins, goes to the Super Bowl, and wins a second Super Bowl under Aaron Rodgers. So you've got to wonder as well. And again, this goes back to what you and I just described. Had they done a deal for Julio Jones and traded Jordan Love, if you just make some kind of a peace offering to Aaron Rodgers to demonstrate to him, we were wrong. We apologize to you. You're the man. If he does come back, it's in both. It's in both camps' best interests. The Packers' best chance at getting back to the NFC Championship game and maybe a Super Bowl is with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and probably Aaron Rodgers' best chance to get to a Super Bowl in the next couple of years is in Green Bay.
Because if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I don't want to go to Denver. I don't want to play in a division where I'm constantly going to be compared to Patrick Mahomes.
Huge point.
Justin Herbert of the Chargers, who I believe was he Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I think if not, he was right there.
He had
Yeah,
a pretty decent coming out party, and I know that team has been what it's been the past couple of years, but they're on the up and up, and I think they're happy with who they have at quarterback. And again, you've got the next generation and the generation that's on its way out, and then Carr is what he is, but when he's hot, he's hot.
Yeah. The Raiders are not, they're not pathetic. If the Raiders get hot, they could be a contender.
So not only are you, from going to a team we're talking about Super Bowl contention, you're going to a team where we're talking about contending for your own division.
Yeah.
And I would not want to be in that position. So I guess it's how badly do you want a shot at a Super Bowl, and how badly do you want out of Green Bay?
It's a great point, because if you go to Denver, barring anything unforeseen with Kansas City, the best you're hoping for is a wild card. I mean, you can't realistically believe you're going to lead the Denver Broncos to the AFC West Championship and knock off Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. So you're hoping for a wild card and then to get hot in the playoffs. And oh, by the way, if you get the wild card, probably the road to the Super Bowl is going to go through Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City in January. So yeah. Good points. I do want to mention this. It's coming up next week, but we're just planting the seed so you know it's coming. Starting on Monday, you listen to this show, and each day you're going to have a chance to win a $50 Rudy's gift card. And when you win it, you're going to qualify for the ultimate Father's Day grand prize, which is a grill, a big-time, fully highfalutin kick-butt grill from Barbecue Outfitters. You'll also get a $100 gift card to Specs. So when you do your grilling, you can have some adult beverages from Specs. And the whole thing is presented by a great website, learntobuyandSellCars.com. And there's actually a program down here by the guy who runs that website, which is pretty amazing. LearntobuyandSellCars.com. So be listening next week for all of that excitement. Another note from the NFL, Shannon, Jim Fossil, who not that long ago was the head coach of the New York Giants. Jim Fossil has passed away at the age of 71. So the NFL family loses one of their relatively recent head coach. It doesn't seem that long ago that Jim Fossil was the head coach of the New York Giants. So he has passed away.
Was he considered a rival face for the Cowboys?
He was there, in the Eli Manning era. In fact, he was the head coach of the Giants from 1997 to 2003. He guided them to 3 playoff berths. He was the NFL Coach of the Year in 1997, which I forgot. And actually, one of the Super Bowls I went to, as I'm reading he was the coach of the Giants when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Baltimore Ravens 34-7 in January of 2001. So overall, his record was 58-53-1 with the Giants. Not the most stellar record ever, but he died of a heart attack. He lived in Las Vegas and died of a heart attack while under sedation and being taken to a local hospital with chest pains. That's awful. So Jim Fossil has passed away at the age of 71, which is sad.
Very sad news.
So there's that. My goodness.
Chris, what else do we have?
I know. Yeah, right. Sorry to bring you down on that one. Let's see what else is going on this was interesting. Did you see this story? There's a cornerback who played at Navy, the Naval Academy.
Yes.
His name is Cameron Kinley. And he's gone to Tampa Bay Buccaneers camp this summer. He's a rookie out of Navy. So obviously, if you're a midshipman at the Naval Academy, you have a commitment. You owe, and it used to be 4. I don't know, the number may have changed. You owe a number of years to the United States Navy in exchange for your commission as an officer and graduating from the Naval Academy. What was interesting about this, Shannon, is Cameron Kinley released a statement on Twitter, which I mean, you think about the military and the way the military does business. Apparently the Secretary of the Navy rejected a petition that he submitted to the Naval Secretary to be able to delay his commitment to the Navy so that he could play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, apparently, and he cites them in his statement, there's a few other players in the NFL right now. One who has graduated from West Point, the military academy, Army, and another who has graduated from the Air Force Academy, who are playing in the NFL because the Secretary of the Air Force and the Secretary of the Army in those cases granted permission for these guys to play. And some people will argue, hey, that's good for the Air Force, it's good for the Army, and it would be good for the Navy to have a player in the NFL, because you can then say, it's almost like a recruiting tool or a PR thing for branches of the service to say, look, we've got this guy who went to the Naval Academy who now plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anyway, Cameron Kinley, not happy. He released this extended statement on Twitter. He is appealing this decision, and he is hoping that he will get this decision reversed. So kind of interesting, and when you think of Navy, Shannon, my first frame of reference is Roger Staubach, who won the Heisman Trophy in 1963, had to go serve 4 years in Vietnam in the Navy, And during his 2-week leave every summer, he would take his leave in the summer to go to Cowboys training camp to work out with the Cowboys, but he had to wait 4 years before he could play with the Cowboys to fulfill his naval commitment. So really interesting story. It'll be interesting to see where or if this story goes anywhere else.
I'm curious if part of their denial was in thinking that he's not going to make the roster, because he was an undrafted signee to the Bucks.
Yes.
So I don't know if maybe through training, I don't know when his time would start, if it would start immediately, or if he at least has time to go through training camp to see if he would make the roster. If there were some considerations that would change based on that.
That's a good question. And you would think, though, and again, it's what's weird about this is the Air Force is letting players do this. The Army is letting players do this. You would think in the scenario you mentioned, Shannon, you would think the Navy would just go ahead and just wait to see if he makes the team before making a decision. It's like, if you don't make the Bucks, it's like, all right, fine, come be an officer in the United States Navy and now fulfill your obligation. And whereas if he makes the team, you could, I mean, there's all kind, you can put a guy in the Naval Reserves. You can still, commission him as an officer and say, you're now in the Naval Reserves as long as you're in, playing for Tampa Bay. And if that situation ends for you, then we'll revisit this. So it's going to be interesting to see if, and then you wonder, do you get into the fact, if you read the guys, and I'll retweet it out, and I'll retweet it out from Ticket 760's page, and Shannon, you can retweet it out from AM 1300 The Zone's Twitter page. The fact that he releases this statement almost seems, from a military standpoint, to be calling out the Secretary of the Navy and criticizing the Secretary of the Navy. And as a new graduate and a new officer in the Navy, that's a little weird, and you're kind of asking for it when you do that.
Yeah, it's very strange, but again, the time we're in, that's just the way. I mean, that's how everyone seems to announce things these days. And I love how you mentioned, like, if he stayed, it'd be great recruiting for the academy.
Yes,
right. Especially as that program has performed better in recent years.
True.
Play football here.
So I'll tell you what. We'll talk more about that coming up. Shannon's Salty Shakedown during the break here. We'll tweet out Cameron Kinley's statement. It's kind of interesting, especially from a military perspective, that he's critical of the people above him in the United States Navy who made this decision. So we'll tweet that out. Let you take a look at that. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. This day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more. Just after 8 o'clock, Tanner Carlson going to join us. We'll talk Dallas Cowboys, NFL, and more with Tanner. You want to jump in on the phone lines? You're welcome. 800-707-9760. We also stream live video of the show on AM 1300 The Zone and Ticket 760's Facebook pages with portals from YouTube, Twitch, and more. Quick break. Lots coming at you. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Chris Duel Show. All right. Let me retweet this. All right, I just tweeted that out. Let me All right. Good morning, Beth Settle. Welcome in. Wes Perkins, good morning. Greg Heltz, Mountain Rushmore. Greg Popovich, Bill Belichick, Coach K, and Phil Jackson. That's a pretty good one. I'll be back in a sec. Eric changed his Mount Rushmore. Rudy T, Rudy T, Rudy T, and Rudy T. Very good. Manuel Gonzalez, good point. David Robinson did his time before he came to the Spurs. That's a great point. And apparently David Robinson had the option to re-enter the NBA draft and chose not to. So, Manuel, I'm going to bring that up on the air. You make a great point. Welcome back in. It is the Chris Duel show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. And if you wonder why they call her Salty Sweeney, the Salty Shakedown is moments away. And if you're new to the show, you're about to find out. I did, Shannon, before we come back, and well, we are back, before we dive into this day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more, we were talking about the new graduate of the Naval Academy who has been apparently disallowed by the Secretary of the Navy to continue to pursue being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. He's a cornerback. His name is Cameron Kinley, and he released a detailed statement expressing how disappointed he is, and he hopes that they will reconsider. And he does cite other players in the NFL who have gotten these kind of waivers or have been allowed to pursue an NFL career and delay their commitment to the military out of the Air Force Academy and out of West Point. So it's an interesting statement. So we tweeted that out, retweeted that out from our Twitter accounts. But somebody pointed out as well, Shannon, in fact, it was Manuel Gonzalez. I totally forgot about this. I was talking about Roger Staubach and regarding the Naval Academy, and Manuel brought up David Robinson of the San Antonio Spurs. And it's true, David Robinson was also a Naval Academy graduate, and like Roger Staubach, had to serve his naval commitment, his commitment in the United States Navy before coming to the Spurs. And as I recall, based on NBA rules at the time, David Robinson had the option, and I think it was a 4-year commitment to the Navy. David Robinson had the option to re-enter the NBA draft. He was drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs obviously had never won a championship, had never been that relevant in the NBA, although they, Spurs usually had winning seasons, and they had Gervin early on in the NBA when they made the transition from the ABA. But to David Robinson's credit, and probably saving the franchise, had David chosen to re-enter the NBA draft, and there were everybody knew how good David Robinson was, and there were teams like the Lakers who wanted David Robinson. David Robinson stayed loyal to the team that originally drafted him coming out of the Naval Academy, the San Antonio Spurs. And you look back on it, Shannon, and without David Robinson, God knows, I think a strong possibility. And there have been times over the years that owners or buyers have come through. I remember the Maloof brothers, who later bought the Sacramento Kings, came through San Antonio at one point looking to buy the San Antonio Spurs. And they said, of course, as owners always, we won't move this team. Of course not. We have no plans on, just sell it to us and then we'll talk. So David Robinson, and kudos to Manuel Gonzalez on Facebook Live for reminding us about David Robinson in context with Cameron Kinley. So I think, Shannon, this is a relatively new phase with the military academies, allowing these players to go play professional sports without first honoring their military commitment.
Well, and what I'm taking away is the Navy has been the stricter of the facets of the military to say, no, come, you signed up for this, remember? Yeah. And again, though, you think about, the Army Navy game is such a big deal, and academy sports in general. They typically, all of the service academies have really, really good sports teams, because a lot of these, people who choose to become officers in the United States military at the level of an academy, they're, Greg Popovich, who played basketball at Air Force. They tend to be good athletes as well. But for them to continue to field really, really good collegiate teams in Division I, would this have a chilling effect? It's a whole new generation. And now Twitter, in social media, there's going to be a lot of young people reading Cameron Kinley's tweet and following his story. Might that have a chilling effect on
athletes who think they might be good enough to be professional someday, as far as whether or not they choose a service academy, if they feel that could preclude their opportunities in pro sports.
Yeah, it's a very long statement. And like you just said, it could ultimately lead to future prospects. If you want to play in the NFL, don't go to the Navy. Play your college ball.
Little scary there. All right. Lots coming up here. As we mentioned, Tanner Carlson. We'll talk Dallas Cowboys, NFL, and more with Tanner just after 8 o'clock. We're with you till 9 o'clock this morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. In a moment, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. Before that, sports birthdays. And this, June 8th, this day in sports history. This day in 1961, Milwaukee sets a record with 4 consecutive home runs, back-to-back batters. 4 straight home runs. The batters, some of them were pretty good. Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron, Joe Adcock, and Frank Thomas. Wow. This day in 1969, Major League Baseball legend Mickey Mantle gives his farewell retirement speech during Mickey Mantle Day at Yankee Stadium. 60,096 fans were at Yankee Stadium to see number 7 retired in the pinstripes. On this day in 1977, Nolan Ryan, or as I like to say, Nolan Ryan notches his 4th career 19 strikeout game. That Nolan Ryan guy was pretty good. This day in 1992, New York Yankee pitcher Steve Howe is banned from baseball for the 7th time for substance abuse. Steve Howe had issues. Finally, this day in 2018, the NBA Finals, the Golden State Warriors claimed their 3rd title in 4 years with a 108-85 win over the Cleveland Cavaliers for a 4-0 sweep of LeBron James and the Cavs. MVP was Kevin Durant for the 2nd straight year. You tend to forget, Shannon, that the Warriors swept the Cavs 4-0 in 2018. I always remember like that. I remember those series going like 6 or 7. I remember the one that the Cavs won on a Kyrie Irving shot. But 4-0 in 2018, Warriors over the Cavs. That's this day in sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Tuesday, June 8th, if this is your birthday or someone you know or love, happy birthday to you or them. Born on this day, June 8th, 1939, American Pro Football Hall of Fame cornerback Herb Adderley. Herb Adderley played in Super Bowls 1 and 2 for the Green Bay Packers. He would later sign with the Dallas Cowboys and play for the Cowboys in Super Bowls 5 and 6, winning Super Bowl 6 with the Cowboys when they won their first ever Super Bowl. He was also a Pro Bowler from 1963 to 1967. Herb Adderley was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He passed away last year in 2020. Born on this day in 1970, NFL cornerback Troy Vincent played with the Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles. Born on this day in 1976, American tennis player Lindsay Davenport. Lindsay Davenport won 3 Grand Slam titles. She won Olympic gold in 1996. Lindsay Davenport was born in Palos Verdes, California. You might recognize that town. That's where Tiger Woods had his little accident in Rancho Palos Verdes. Finally, another tennis player born on this day in 1983, Kim Clijsters, a Belgian tennis player, 4-time Grand Slam title winner, was born in Bilzen, Belgium. Easy for me to say. Kim Clijsters born on this day in 1983. There you have it. Sports birthdays, sports histories. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, and farm animals, direct from the Bonneville Salt Flats, hot off the presses, here it is, your Salty Shakedown.
Well, as Chris just comes off telling us about the sports birthdays over the weekend, Robert Kraft turned 80 years old.
Woo!
And a video now circulating online shows what he was gifted from his celebrity friends, including Sixers part owner Michael Rubin, Meek Mill, and Jay-Z. They all got together and got Robert Kraft, now 80 years old, a blue Bentley for his birthday. In the video, Robert Kraft is so surprised. He says, "How the fudge?" Specifically fudge. "Did you get this?" They said they had it brought in on a flatbed from Florida
Wow.
just for the 80-year-old. They wrote him a nice little card. It says, "We wanted to get you something we knew you wouldn't get yourself." Well, of course not. I don't think that dude drives.
Yeah.
Private jet. I ain't driving myself.
I'm Robert Kraft, baby.
I don't need a license. I just need an ID. So who knows if he'll actually be driving himself in this vehicle, but would be fun to see him pull up to future Patriots games, riding in the back seat of his brand new Bentley. Bentley's, of course, known for being, top to bottom, just geeked out, decked out, and all the latest. So I'm sure the back seat is much more fun than driving the vehicle anyway. But it's kind of hard to believe he didn't already have this car. I mean, I know they said he wouldn't buy it himself, but dude has all the money in the world to buy whatever he wants. Little fun that he got it from his rapper friends, though. No.
Yeah. Meek Mill and Jay-Z, and of course, being crass about Kraft, my first thought is there a massage involved? I mean, if you're going to get Robert Kraft what he really wants
Big back
for his
seat in there.
birthday, number 80, we know he enjoys a good massage now and then, and maybe a little something extra.
It's a big back seat in there, sir.
Woo, you're right. All the fun could be in the back seat of that
happens
Bentley.
in the Bentley. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
But a
man.
happy birthday to you, sir.
Yes.
8 years old. Congratulations. All right, some Olympic news. As we learned last week, 10,000 volunteers had up and quit, said no, they don't want to be a part of it. COVID is too much. Now they're announced actually today, that foreign reporters will be tracked by GPS.
Ooh.
During the Olympics, the 6,000 reporters must provide a detailed list of where they will be, including sporting venues and hotels. They are recommended to stay at the approved hotels and not Airbnbs. And if they don't follow the strict outline that they create themselves and then turn in, they could have their passes revoked. They're trying to make sure they know everyone's whereabouts at all time. A little scary.
Yes.
I have an iPhone. I do not have on Find My Friends for me. I have people who share their location with me. I do not share my location with anybody. You don't need to know that I'm at home. I'm either at home or I'm at work. If I'm not there, I'm dead or kidnapped. Like those are the two options. You shouldn't have to track me. I don't want my job to track me either. Would this be a deterrent for you, Chris, if you were sent on a location job and they said, "Hey, give me all your information. We're going to track you"?
That it's really scary. And Shannon, I think it's a sign of the times. In a totally unrelated story I heard this morning, and obviously it's a completely different regime in North Korea, but 2 American journalists have been sentenced to 12 years in prison in North Korea because North Korea didn't like what they were writing. So yeah, obviously Japan is a democracy and not an authoritarian repressive dictatorship. But the reason I bring it up is if a government is tracking reporters by GPS, and therefore if they don't like where you went, if they think you went to the wrong place, in this case, they say they're tracking you for COVID reasons. And if there's some data they see that they don't like, they can throw you out of the country, or worse, jail you or imprison you, it is that if I were a foreign correspondent covering these Olympics, I might think twice before doing this. Yeah. If for not, and again, I have no distrust of the Japanese government here, but it's a slippery slope. It's just another layer of using technology to track, in this case, members of the media, which is a little scary.
I would think covering the Olympics, part of the fun is that you're there in a foreign place for an extended time period and all of the things and that you would get to experience that would come along with it. At this point, I'd cut my losses and I'd say, I'm just going to flip my sleep schedule and I will live on Tokyo time for a month from home and cover it all from the comfort of my couch or desk and office at home. I'm not going to be tracked by a foreign government. All right, finally today, we talked 76ers earlier. They, of course, have game 2 against the Hawks tonight. Well, GM Darley Morey, as well as the 76ers, have been fined $75,000 by the NBA, both of them, for Daryl's he apparently he was considered tampering when he took a screenshot of Steph Curry's picture of course, his brother plays for the 76ers, and took that screenshot that Steph posted about his brother's great night in one of their previous games and captioned it. Let's see what was the caption here. Join them. So I don't know if that's. To me, that's not very much tampering. It's just like, where's the line at this point, right? When we're talking about Twitter. But the dude is known for bringing in big shots, right? When he was at Houston, he brought in Harden, he brought in Chris Paul, he brought in Dwight Howard. So it's not too far out that maybe, in fact, he will be reaching out to Steph. Now, I know you've never been a fan of the Splash Brothers, but would you be a fan of Curry Brothers on one squad?
It would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool. And this whole, idea of tampering, Daryl Morey tweets it, and so they're going to fine him for the tweet. Yeah. I mean,
what?
Yeah. But I mean, if Daryl Morey really wanted to tamper, you think he couldn't, like, through back channels, get a hold of Steph Curry and wind up in a phone call with Steph Curry? So obviously he did not see this tweet as a violation. I think this is a bit much.
Or conspiracy. He has been tampering behind the scenes, and this is just the cover up. He's in deeper behind the scenes, and this is just the cover up. So he'll take that slap on the wrist for the $75K. All right, there you have it. Today's Salty Shakedown.
Outstanding Salty Shakedown. And again, the weirdest, the tracking foreign reporters by GPS. Because, once a government starts doing that, or once this happens, then it just keeps happening. So in the next Olympics, the next government, whoever it is going to start doing. Oh, by the way, like North Korea and Russia, if we ever have an Olympics again in Moscow, you think Putin's going to track you by GPS? Heck yes, he is.
It's not looking good for the people who already believe that COVID shots are just tracking implants.
There you go. Yeah. Now we're actually going to track you whether you think it's real or not. My goodness. All right. 8:00 hour coming up. Let's dive into the NFL and more. We'll talk some Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Hey man, it's June. Training camps begin in July. Tanner Carlson joining us next on the Chris Duel Show. Wes Perkins says the Admiral steered the course of the Spurs to far more wins or titles. Not only was David instrumental in the Spurs staying in San Antonio, he helped create the player culture that still exists today. Totally agree, Wes. Great point. David Robinson, the Admiral, to my mind, deserves more respect than he gets. Agree with all of that, Wes. Elliot says Malcolm Perry plays for the Miami Dolphins and the Naval Academy. Let him defer his service in 2019. Wow, Elliot, that makes the case of
but again, he plays.
True. Yeah. He made the team.
Undrafted.
Yeah.
Signing. And they brought back all of their starters, right? So he's not a starter.
Right.
Probably fighting for third string, if that.
Yeah. For an undrafted cornerback to make the team is unlikely. You're right. Oh, I forgot to mention about this Cameron Kinley from the Naval Academy. He was class president. Apparently he had like an outstanding GPA and was class president. So, I mean, obviously as a cadet, he was all in, which is interesting. Oh, I've got to edit some spots. Let's do this. Diamonds Direct celebrates the summer of 2021 with a spectacular offer that everybody's loving right now. Get this, 5 years, 0 interest financing on anything and everything. Upgrade your diamond now. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Go ahead and splurge on that designer necklace or those diamond earrings. It's easy with this amazing offer. Pick any item, divide it by 60, and that's your monthly payment. No down payment required. You need to finance the sales tax. People are driving for hours to take advantage of this. You get the unbeatable price Diamonds Direct is famous for, and you spread the payments over 5 whole years. Imagine a $12,000 designer engagement ring or diamond tennis bracelet, just $200 a month. It's the smartest and easiest way to buy. And doesn't she deserve it after all that's happened in the last year? Don't miss this incredible opportunity. 5 years, 0 interest financing for a limited time only at Diamonds Direct on approved credit. Get showroom directions, special hours, and more details at diamondsdirect.com. Let's see. What is happening?
Good morning.
Tanner Carlson is in the house. I got to edit some spots real quick. What's new and exciting?
Oh, not much. Not much. Next week we have our baby shower.
Wow.
So we're doing that. And hopefully everything ends up well. It's also Father's Day weekend's the next weekend, right?
Yes.
The following weekend.
And the baby is due August what?
Well, August 2nd.
August
is the
2nd.
due day, so who knows if it's going to be late July or early August.
Oh my goodness! So I didn't even think July.
Yeah.
I remember you told me August.
Yeah, but yeah, August 2nd is the due date.
Okay.
We'll see if she cooperates. If she has her dad's or her mom's timeliness, we'll see.
Funny. Anything on your radar? Anything specific you want to talk about?
I've got some notes here.
Beautiful.
That involve Cowboys contracts, free agents coming up this year.
Excellent.
Mostly Gallup, LVE.
Okay.
And then what current contracts look like for guys in similar positions and what it can mean and things like that.
Oh, nice.
So, got some cowboy talk.
Perfect.
And if you want to ask me Maverick stuff, obviously I can.
Yeah,
give you my opinion on that, but
I might. Yeah, since we're a couple of days out.
But yeah, feel free to. If you don't want to talk about it, I don't mind not talking about it. So
I so thought when they were up 3-2.
Yeah.
I so thought they're going to win one of those.
Yeah. When they were up 2-0, I said it's just 2 games. You know.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
But I totally, especially watching Game 7, you and Shannon talking about Porzingis. My God, if he would have been adequate.
If he would have been average, middle of the road.
Yeah.
If he would have just contributed.
Just clanging balls left and right.
Well, and here's the thing, too. It's not even scoring. If he's not going to score, that's one thing. But not rebounding, not playing deep. When you're 7'3" and you're not even in the paint defensively, what are you there for?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I think that's what aggravates me more than anything. It's not even just the offensive lack of scoring. You can get around somebody not scoring, but I can't handle somebody not playing defense and not rebounding when they're a giant. At least Boban is.
Yeah, he was.
At least he's in position to make a play.
Yeah, he was a pleasant surprise in that series.
Offer. Check this out. 5 years, 0 interest financing on anything and everything. Upgrade your diamond now. Spread the payments over 5 years with 0 interest. You can splurge on that designer necklace or those diamond earrings. It's so easy with this amazing offer. Pick any item, divide the price by 60, and that's your monthly payment. No down payment required. You can even finance the sales tax. People are driving in from all over for this unbelievable deal.
What I tend to do is
I tend to do this.
Oh, okay. That's easy. That works. That works.
It's the smartest and easiest way to buy. And doesn't she
I was just a little lopsided. It was gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah, there is another way to tweak the upper thing, but it's just easiest to do it that way.
But I think Cowboy contract talk will be interesting,
Absolutely.
especially with Gallup saying he wants to stay in Dallas. But we'll see. Always their answer.
Okay.
I saw an interesting topic on Twitter too. What was your first NFL jersey?
Oh my God, that's a great question.
I think
Wow.
my parents. So my brother and I had Cowboy lockers,
Yeah.
and I think he was Troy, and I think I was Emmett.
Yeah.
I think so. I think Emmett Smith was my first.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll bring that up to Shannon too. I think mine was Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question.
My parents had bought me and my brother Cowboy lockers, and we had the whole shoulder pads, helmet, everything. And I think I was Emmett, and I'm pretty sure he was Troy. I think that's how it worked.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's a tremendous question.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, we got the 4. Got the quad view. Nice.
It's like NFL Red Zone.
Yes. God, I love NFL Red Zone.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is a Taco Tuesday, but it's bigger than just any run-of-the-mill Taco Tuesday because we are talking NFL football. We're talking Dallas Cowboys football. Praise Tom Landry with Tanner Carlson. It is there's a sound effect. He is also, since a child, he has been known as Tan the Monkey Man. So there's his official soundbite or sound effect, from Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, Tanner Carlson. He lives, eats, breathes Dallas Cowboys football.
It's an unhealthy addiction for sure. It's almost worse than smoking or alcoholism is being addicted to the Cowboys like I am.
What's funny is
it takes a toll on your health.
You and Shannon and I are just huge Cowboys fans. But as Shannon brings up, and you're kind of in the same boat, you know, Shannon and you have not really, as adults, experienced Super Bowl championships, which is so weird because I'm so old. I go back to the Landry era. It's like I watched Super Bowl V when they lost to the Colts. I watched as a kid. I watched Super Bowl VI with their first Super Bowl win over the Dolphins in January of '72. So at least I'm addicted. Having at least they gave me the heroin, and I shot the heroin into my veins, and I felt the euphoria. And I'm not advocating heroin use, kids. It's a metaphor. But you and Shannon have not have not enjoyed the drug of a Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl victory as adults.
No, this was a genetically based addiction. I don't know if that's even possible, but I was
in the womb.
You were like a crack baby. You're a crack baby for the Cowboys.
A cowboy crack baby. Call me Cowboy. I'm going to change my Twitter handle to Cowboy Crack Baby.
I kind of like that.
It's kind of catchy.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Now, Shannon, before we dive in, and Tanner has been going through all the Cowboy contracts, so he's going to like lay some
notable ones, not all.
Counting on the side.
Yeah, we're not doing the Tyler Biadasz Cowboys contract this morning, but. Tanner brought up a great question, Shannon, and we will start with you. What was your first ever Cowboys jersey? I'm assuming as a Cowboys fan, as a kid, you had a Cowboys jersey. Did you have one? And if you did, what was your first?
I never wasted my money on a jersey.
But didn't your parents go, Shannon loves the Cowboys, let's get her a Cowboy jersey for Christmas?
Nope. I considered investing in a Witten jersey. And then I considered it. I have a signed Witten jersey like back in the promo closet here.
Okay.
That I just kind of have hidden, but it's like an XXL. And that's as close as I've gotten to a Cowboys jersey. The only jersey I've ever had, the Texas basketball DJ Augustine jersey.
Wow.
And I had when I was really little, the Ricky Williams Texas jersey. And I think now I have just a regular number 8 Texas jersey.
That's Shipley. You can go with Jordan Shipley.
Which it's the name of the dog.
So it's only right. But I've never had professional athletic jerseys.
In terms of Longhorns, I've had Colt and I've had Vince Young. Although obviously you don't put the names on them. It's just the number.
Right.
Yeah, you can't. Well,
not yet.
Not
anyway,
yet.
I don't know. I don't know about when all that's supposed to happen. Whenever players can start marketing themselves and stuff. But anyway, I've in terms of Longhorns, I've had Colt McCoy and number 12 and a number 10 jersey. Cowboys. I was telling Chris off air that whenever my brother and I were really young, I mean, I'm talking, I was probably 3 or 4. Cade was probably 5 or 6 at the time, and my parents got us Cowboy lockers with the plastic helmet, shoulder pads.
What great parents.
The works. And I think it started as a Halloween costume, but then it became, and every Sunday we put on our gear for game day.
That is great.
And I believe Cade was Troy and I was Emmett. I think that's how it went.
Great.
So I think 22 was my first jersey.
See, I think you should bring that back as an adult, and you should have a Cowboy locker. And I know you're about to be a new dad, either in late July or early August. But as an adult, I think you should have your Cowboy locker with the helmet, the shoulder pads, the jersey, the pants, everything, the cleats.
As a grown adult,
as a grown adult, and you should get into a Cowboy uniform for every game you watch on TV.
There are crazier fans than that.
Yes, there are.
It wouldn't be the craziest thing you see on a Sunday.
Yes, there are.
Rag on grown adults who wear jerseys.
It is,
right? I kind of get it, like on a Tuesday, whatever, like it's part of your outfit. But if you're at a game,
I think it's okay if you're at a game. But I agree, if you're like at a grocery store and you're just happen to wear like a $150 like Des Bryant jersey. Chill.
Yeah. Well, and especially me, like a middle-aged man wearing a jersey of some dude who's like 30 years younger than I am. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
My first jersey back at Glen Oaks Elementary School in San Antonio, the number 12 Roger Staubach jersey. So I go way, way, way back. So yeah, very, very cool. That's a great question though. So for everybody listening, either Cowboys, and it was great that Shannon, has like, Shannon had a Ricky Williams jersey. Whoever your team is, what was your first sports jersey? That's I love that question.
Another notable, because I was kind of a jersey kid whenever I was growing up. I always liked having jerseys. And so LaDainian Tomlinson's powder blue Charger jersey was one of my
Why?
favorites.
You're a Cowboys fan. Why would you have a Charger
he's
jersey?
a Texas guy. He's
Oh,
a Texas guy.
man.
And then, but my dad hated it for sure. He hated getting other teams for
Good
me.
dad.
But I was definitely like, and then I also this is a rare one. I should have kept it, and I don't know how much it would go on the market if I got it autographed by him. But an Oakland Raiders Randy Moss jersey, number 18. Yeah,
Oh my
He
goodness.
was on the Raiders for like a solid season and a half.
Barely remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That is wild.
But yeah, those were probably my two favorite ones, other than all the Cowboy. And I used to go through a phase of every superstar wide receiver the Cowboys had, whether it was I think I had Keyshawn, I had T.O., and I had Galloway.
Joey Galloway. Nice.
I went through a phase of whoever the number one receiver was, and then they ended up all sucking. And so I stopped it. I just was like, you know what? I'm not doing the wide receiver thing anymore. I'm not. They wouldn't let me buy a Witten jersey. Like my family and my friends were like, dude, you're not buying a Witten jersey
Because he's going to suck
He's
if
gonna
you buy
suck.
it.
Yeah. So, and I never did. And
Wow.
we saw that he's a future going to be a Hall of Famer at one point.
So you do not have a CD Lamb jersey
I'm
currently.
done with the jerseys.
Okay.
I'm done with the. I'm not, because every jersey I ever bought ended up being bad luck for that player. So I refused to get a Dak jersey or anybody like that.
I still may buy a Jaguars Tim Tebow jersey. I still may.
You're gonna
if
get
he-
the practice jersey
if he
because
makes
he's not gonna get
if he
the
makes
actual
the team,
jersey.
and again, I never go outside my Cowboys, but
Yeah.
for Tebow, I might do it. All right, Tanner Carlson, you are a Cowboys junkie.
Mhm.
You go into the weeds, you go into the minutia, and now apparently you are going into contracts.
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys contracts. What have you discovered?
Well, it's going to be a big year off season wise, and I think a lot of it all has to do with the play of these individual players. But Leighton Vander Esch, his contract is up. We know that they're not picking up his fifth-year option, so he's either going to be a free agent or we're extending him to a multi-year contract for Vander Esch. Also, Connor Williams is in that same boat, that same draft class. But the notable draftees from 2018, I believe, is Vander Esch, Connor Williams. Michael Gallup's a big one going into the free agents this year. Dalton Schultz, and then Cedric Wilson, who plays a vital role special teams wise and on the lower end of that depth chart for the wide receivers, but he's a good role guy. He had a couple big games, notably against Seattle last year. And so what are you going to do with a guy like Dalton Schultz, who we have Jarwin under contract? Schultz came on big last year when Jarwin was out. So a lot of these guys, what are you going to do with these contracts? I don't believe you're going to sign each and every single one of these guys. So a couple of these are going to have to walk. And you kind of start looking, that's what kind of triggered in my head. Well, where are we at that position currently under contract? You've got Cooper. He's signed through 2024. And that also kind of lends where CeeDee Lamb is going to be at the end of his rookie contract as well. So if you're Michael Gallup, you sign maybe a 2-year deal, get to 2024, put all the pressure on the Cowboys. Maybe you sign a team-friendly deal this go around. Get your 2 years, and then come 2024, you're looking at Cowboys picking up the 5th-year option of CeeDee Lamb and the end of Amari Cooper's contract. And then you put all the pressure on the Cowboys. Well, you got to pick. You're not going to be able to sign all three of those guys at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're hoping if you're Gallup, since you're younger, maybe a little bit more promise than Cooper at that point in your career, they go with you. So who knows? I mean, to me, it's a kind of a puzzle that these agents and players are going to have to play with the team and work with the team as well. Cooper, I bring this all up is because Gallup was, he was on the national interview, I think on NFL Network or something, and he said, I want to be in Dallas. I would like to stay in Dallas, and it all depends on how I play this year. But with Cowboy fans, I was going to ask you guys, Cowboy fans, they all love, I think all Cowboy fans like Michael Gallup as a talent.
Yes.
I think the big question is he's always linked to trades and he has that value. And I don't think Cowboy fans, if we're going to see him go somewhere, I don't think we want to see him go for nothing in free agency. So what say you guys?
And when you evaluate Michael Gallup, Tanner and Shannon, you have to look at all three, I think, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. And my problem with Amari Cooper is disappearing on the road.
Right.
It's so chronic. And for all the money you're paying Amari Cooper and for having given up a number 1 draft pick, I just wonder if at some point before 2024, you cut your losses on Amari Cooper if indeed CD Lamb emerges as your next big thing at wide receiver.
And I'm glad you bring that up because all of Cooper's dead money, if you do get rid of him, say before 2024, his cap hit is $6 million after this year. So, and then it only goes lower after that for the next 2 seasons after that. So you can get away possibly with moving on from Cooper sooner than his contract. I would say you keep him around, you use him until his contract's up. I don't suggest getting rid of him beforehand, but that, like you mentioned, that might be something that, money wise, that might work out in your favor.
Shannon, what do you think? Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CD Lamb, if one had to be jettisoned, who are you getting rid of?
I think you have to get rid of Amari with exactly what you just said. I mean, half of your games are on the road. You can't show up half of the time, especially, you want to win the division. You want to go to Super Bowls, because the Cowboys are decent enough to win the division and to get to the playoffs. I don't know that they're decent enough, though, to get that home field advantage. So you have to have a guy who can play at home and on the road. And like I said, I think Michael Gallup's upside at this point in their careers, respectively, is a little greater than Amari Cooper.
And I think you also have to take into effect of this truly means that you have to believe that CeeDee Lamb is that number one guy. And I truly believe, I think he's going to take the next step this upcoming season and be Dak's number one option. I think he becomes the number one target this year for the Cowboys. And then that means you're looking at Lamb, looking at a huge mega contract, possibly being one of the highest paid wide receivers by the time Cooper is reaching the end of his current contract, that he is one of the currently highest paid wide receivers right now. So I think you kind of just flip the role and you let Lamb kind of take that over. You let him be the number one. And then at that point, is Cooper's feelings a little bit hurt? Where is he on a personal, emotional level in terms of being connected to this team at that point? I could definitely see a scenario where you move forward with Gallup, give him a team-friendly deal after this year. Maybe, if he's willing, he has to be willing to do that. He has to be willing to sacrifice, a couple extra years on a long-term contract, make it a shorter-term contract, and maybe a couple $1 million here and there until 2 years from now, whenever the Cowboys are faced with all three of these guys looking at contract extensions at the exact same time.
I am hearing that CD Lamb is returning punts during OTAs. I don't know that I love that.
No.
How do you feel about that?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I know you see some guys, you see the guys like Antonio Brown, who kind of made his mark on returning punts and kicks early with his Pittsburgh days. You see a guy like Tyreek Hill doing it. I just kind of like, look, there's too many scenarios to where he could get hurt on special teams. And the difference between special teams and getting a lot of targets on offense, some people would say, well, you're just as likely to get hurt on offense when you're playing wide receiver. Yeah, but special teams players are near the bottom of the depth chart.
Yeah.
And they're rotation guys where they're just trying to go out there and try to make a play. They're trying to hit anything and everything that's moving.
Right.
And they're not technically sound enough to make a form tackle and not hurt you. You're more likely to get hurt on special teams than you are anywhere else on the field.
And it would seem to me just a full head of steam if you're returning a punt. Right. It's similar to a kickoff return, and we know the NFL is trying to make kickoff returns safer. A full head of steam, a guy who's been running 35, 40 yards full speed to hit you on a punt return versus covering you in the secondary and maybe running with you. It seems basic physiology and physics that you have a higher probability of getting injured on a punt return than running a pass route to me.
And I think CeeDee Lamb's too valuable to be putting out there. You're not going to put Randy Moss out there returning punts, although he's probably your best option in terms of making a big play on a punt return. You know what I mean? Like, just because you have the capability and you have a player out there that's likely to make a bigger play doesn't mean you always use them. You're not going to put T.O. out there, even though he's probably the best, your best option to return a punt and make a play out of something.
Right.
You're not going to put him out there unless you have a Deion Sanders or something that's just electrifying.
Yes.
You're not going to do that.
Totally agree. Anything else in the world of contracts that jumped out at you?
And well, then you look at the linebacker situation, and that was a hot topic all offseason. It's going to continue to be so, especially with Van Der Esch. His contract is up. He's in that same draft class as Gallup. And so now you're looking at Jalen Smith already signed his big deal. His deal ends in 2025. So you could sign, LVE with Jalen Smith, but then you're kind of starting to run out of money. Then you're looking at, a tough transition away. And I think the Cowboys are going away from Jalen anyway. I think this draft spoke volumes and what they thought of the linebackers' performance, both he and Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a huge, huge year for Vander Esch's future with Dallas. If he comes up and he ends up being that Pro Bowl guy, I don't think they have any problem whatsoever signing him to a big deal. But you're going to have to get rid of Jalen Smith to do that because he's taking up a large chunk of money at this point. And after this season is over, his dead money, if you got rid of him over the offseason this year, which you're hoping for a trade scenario, not just to cut the guy loose and let somebody sign him, but your dead money this year would be $16 million. Your dead money next year, if you cut him next season, it would be like $7 million. So definitely a big drop off from Jalen Smith in terms of his dead money allowed or against your team going into next season. So I think you obviously keep your guys here this year. All these guys that I'm talking about are going to be on the team this year, but it's next off season that you're looking at. This team could look very, very different in terms of some of the notable guys that you're used to seeing out there.
And of course, obviously the Cowboys at linebacker hoping that Micah Parsons becomes the next big thing. Certainly they drafted him high enough. And when are they going to have to pay him again? Is it a 4-year deal before they have to pay him again?
He's on a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option being the first rounder. So you look at him in 2016, he's going to be looking for that contract extension. So not really anything worth talking about at this point in time. But you signed Vander Esch through that 2026 year, and then now you're kind of looking at him and Parsons kind of being grouped together for the long haul for the Cowboys. But yeah, like I said, I think they're trying to move away from Jalen, and you would like to trade and have somebody pick up that contract, although that's going to be hard to do if he's playing the way he's playing. But your dead money hit against your team after this year, if you're going to cut him, definitely works in your favor where you don't have to pay him that full contract. If all else fails, if you can't find a trade partner.
Finally, Tanner Carlson, we talked a lot of Dallas Mavericks with you and Shannon. You are both Mavericks fans. We're now 2 days removed from the Mavericks falling in Game 7 to the LA Clippers. I saw Dirk Nowitzki, who was there in LA for Game number 7, said yesterday that the greatest Maverick is Luka Doncic. It's not him, which is very gracious of Dirk Nowitzki to say.
I don't think anybody agrees with that.
How do you feel about how it wound up against the Clippers? Mavericks were up 2-0 in the series. They were up 3-2 in the series. Just had to win one of the final 2 games. Didn't get it done. How you feeling about the team?
A lot of people might want to point fingers at Coach Carlisle, and you can only do so much with what you've got out there. And if you're getting guys open looks and you've got the right matchups that you think you like on defense and the players just aren't performing, it's all supporting cast for Luka at this point. If I'm Cuban, I'm bringing Carlisle and the rest of my staff in there and I'm saying, look, guys, give me a list of players, free agents coming up this next season, and guys that you think that I can trade for, that we have the assets to trade for. I don't care who it is, whether it's Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, whether it's DeMar from the Spurs.
DeMar's available to sign with any team he pleases.
Whether it's Karl Anthony Towns, whoever. Give me a list of guys that you think would complement Luka in a better way than what we currently have, and give me the trade assets you wouldn't mind us getting rid of to acquire some of these players or sign some of these players for free agents. And we're going to give you one more good run at it with Carlisle. And then if it doesn't work out and you go all in free agency, you go all in the offseason to acquire some of these big name guys or some guys that might be disgruntled with some of their teams currently. If you go and make a push at some of these guys and you don't get them, then, what do you do at that point? I don't know, but you have to acquire some kind of talent. You have to. And then if you do get some of those guys, even just 1 or 2 pieces that you think are going to help contribute and help Luka more than what you saw during this last playoff series, and it doesn't work out, then I think you got to part ways with the coach.
My goodness, it's going to be an interesting offseason for a lot of teams like the Mavericks, the Spurs, and others. Tanner Carlson, a great follow on Twitter at Tanner Carlson 20. Tanner, great in-depth stuff on Cowboy contracts. Very, very cool.
I kind of it's off-season stuff, so we're just trying to get we're
Yep.
less than 100 days away. So we're trying to get through there. We're
Training camp next month.
Yeah.
Training camp next month.
So we'll have a little bit more to talk about. I know contracts aren't always the most exciting thing, but I like playing out these different scenarios as what could be happening, with Gallup and the wide receiving. I think those are all interesting storylines.
We'll keep an eye on the Cowboys and the NFL. We'll talk later in the week. Tanner Carlson, thanks so much.
Yep, sounds good.
Quick break. We will scour the world of sports here as we move into the final half hour, see what is popping in the NFL. Of course, 2 NBA games tonight. Astros were off last night. They resume a series. They played Boston in Houston last week. Now they're at Fenway tonight. We'll talk a little Astros baseball as well. They start the day 1 game behind the Oakland A's in the AL West. With you till 9 o'clock, she's Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave Ayler making the show go. I'm Chris. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Outstanding, sir. Thank you.
Cool.
Great stuff.
Appreciate it. But yeah, I did talk to Brian. I just don't know. I don't have the contacts to get the mayor or something. I tried emailing their office to see if there was even a chance of talking with the mayor or something. Like
If you want him, I go through, and he's a friend of mine. His communications guy's named Bruce Davidson.
Okay.
I'll get you to Bruce if you want him for a news thing, and I'm sure Bruce would probably make it happen.
I just think it'd be a fun story.
I agree.
I think it'd be.
And what I've always loved about Ron Nierenberg is he's a sports fan. He gets it when it comes to sports.
Right.
When they were pushing him to build a AAA baseball stadium for the Missions downtown, he said, "I don't see San Antonio as a minor league city. They can build the stadium if they want." He said, "I see us as a major league town," which I've always liked that attitude. Yeah. So, but yeah, if you still want to pursue that, let me know.
Yeah, just go ahead and shoot me an email with his contact or something, and then I can try to finagle and see what we can do. I'd like to get them live rather than just like a little story. I'd rather get them either
get him on the phone with you or a sit down.
Yeah.
Okay. Bruce is pretty good about that. So let me write myself a note to.
But yeah, whenever you got time.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. Cool. Well, I will see you Thursday then.
Sounds good.
I'll try to think of some other Cowboy.
That was good. And hopefully maybe there's something breaks in Cowboy world that we can talk about.
Hopefully nothing bad.
Yeah. All right, man. Have a good day.
Check this out. Diamonds Direct celebrates the summer of 2021 with a spectacular offer that everybody's loving right now. 5 years, zero interest financing on anything and everything. Upgrade your diamond now. Spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest. You can splurge on that designer necklace or those diamond earrings. It's so easy with this amazing offer. Pick any item, divide the price by 60. That's your monthly payment. No down payment required. You can even finance the sales tax. People are driving in from all over for this incredible Diamonds Direct deal. 5 years, spread out the payments. Imagine a $12,000 designer engagement ring or diamond tennis bracelet, just $200 a month. It's the smartest and easiest way to buy. And she deserves it after all that's happened in the last year. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. 5 years, zero interest financing. Now for a limited time, only at Diamonds Direct. On approved credit, get showroom directions, special hours, and more details at diamondsdirect.com.
All right.
John Williams, we are no longer the flagship for the Houston Astros. We were for many, many years. That choice or that decision above my pay grade. I didn't make it. I'm a big Astros fan. I don't know everything that went into it. All right. Here we come. Chris Duel show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney on a Taco Tuesday. But Shannon will not be having tacos today.
Nope.
It's going to be salad, flatbread, and wine in the backyard with the brand new backyard patio furniture.
Well, I was enjoying it last night. I've got little fireflies that just lighten up the backyard. It's beautiful. It's great.
I have seen fireflies lately. I had not seen them.
Or lightning bugs. What am I thinking?
Well, both. Aren't they the
Are they
same?
the same?
Fireflies, lightning bugs, or whatever. I saw some last weekend, and I don't think I had seen them in a few years. I kind of had figured they went away or something.
They're
but-
bigger than I remember them being. That's
Yeah.
weird. Which I guess you have to be if you're carrying a light bulb on you.
Yeah. What a strange insect that is. And I wonder, if you're a firefly or a lightning bug or whatever they're called, I wonder how good of an idea that, I wonder if in the middle of the night when they light up, if, bats or other predators eat them. It's like, hey man, it's nighttime. We're trying to survive the night, but we're lighting up and showing everybody where we are.
Yeah, what's the light doing for you?
That's funny.
Why did evolution do that to you?
That is a weird one.
Or did they do it for the likes of bats?
Yeah.
That nature. Which
now you have to worry that I'm going to have bats swooping in my backyard.
I don't know that bats eat them, but and I know you're not a fan of bats, except for the Austin Ice Bats, who are coming back.
They
They are.
And I did notice that via AM 1300 The Zone on Twitter, you have put out. It's a great question, and kudos to Tanner Carlson for bringing it up. What is the first sports jersey you ever owned? For me, it's Roger Staubach. For Shannon, technically it's Jason Witten, although we might go Ricky Williams. Who was the other Texas Longhorn? You had a jersey?
I have one that is just a number 8, so it's good for both Shipleys, and it's just a classic number, I think, too.
And didn't you go DJ Augustine at one point?
Yeah, I got a DJ Augustine basketball jersey, I think, for my 15th birthday.
Woo!
So that one's still in the closet somewhere.
See, Julio on Twitter says, my first jersey was an old Seattle Mariners Ken Griffey Jr. jersey with the yellow letters. Tadeo says number 75 and number 12 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Mean Joe Green and Terry Bradshaw of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deep down inside, I'm a Steeler fan, but I love my Cowboys. So then he says 12, 33, 22, and 40. So 12 must be Roger, 33, Tony Dorsett, 22, Emmitt Smith, and 40, Bill Bates is what I'm guessing there. So
Jerseys are just like, especially for...
I mean, obviously with college, they're only going to be there a set amount of time. But professionally, you hope that they're there for a good while when you put an investment in, like buying a jersey. But you have people like Browns fans who were buying the quarterback jersey every other year. Same with like Jaguars fans who just have like a rotating cast of people who come in, claim they're superstars, and then leave to go elsewhere. That's why I didn't and haven't gotten a jersey. I mean, by the time I was like, I'm gonna get a Witten jersey, like he was off to the Raiders, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not gonna get a Witten jersey, and he's in the booth or whatever. And now, like, he's a Hall of Famer, so it wouldn't be ridiculous for me to sport.
No.
But again, I think that's also the player that you need to be getting a jersey of, because I don't want to get a jersey of like the big drafty and then he's gone after 2 years or whatever.
But you got to live in the moment. So it's like if
my wallet lives with me forever, though.
Yeah, but it's like it's this season. If you truly believe this is the year for the Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons, the rookie, number 11, even though it was Danny White's jersey once, and number 11 is kind of jinxed for the Cowboys. But you get it, and you don't worry about next year. You worry about this year. That's what I think.
can I return it? Isn't there's a credit card I've seen commercials, I think it was specifically for NBA jerseys.
Yeah.
Where you buy the jersey with the credit card, and then if your favorite player or whatever, whoever jersey you bought gets traded or signs elsewhere, they'll buy you a new jersey.
See, I once returned, I got a Cowboys jersey for a birthday gift, and I returned it because it was a blue jersey, and I believe in the Dallas Cowboys blue jersey jinx, and I felt so bad, and we've had her on the show, and we need to get her back on because she's great. Dawn Hall, also known as NASCAR Dawn and Track Smack Dawn. She's a hardcore NASCAR person, has a show called Track Smack Radio where she talks NASCAR. But so I felt so bad. It's like I couldn't wear it. It's like I cannot bring myself to wearing a blue Cowboys jersey because of the blue jersey jinx. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to add to that mojo. So it's like I said, Dawn, where'd you buy it? She said Academy. So I don't think she had the receipt. So I took it back to Academy, and they took it back because I don't think I even put it on. I don't want it on my body, a blue jersey of the Cowboys. So I traded it in for a white one.
Got the different color jerseys, and then you have like the one-off or like specialty jerseys and all the extra merch that comes with it, right? Every year we've got November, which is the military appreciation, and then you have October, which is Crucial Catch. They have a lot of people's money already. And for all those people that go out and buy every new version of the same jersey.
Yes.
I'm not your girl. I'm not it.
Shannon, I am seeing someone named Stephanie says you need a Mitch Morse. Your buddy, you played ball with him in the street as a kid. He is now the starting center for the Buffalo Bills. We had him on the show thanks to you. Mitch Morse. I totally agree. You need a Mitch Morse jersey.
Well, she's one.
Yes.
She doesn't have one either, so.
Well, you both need a Mitch Morse jersey. When you know the guy, when you grew up with the guy, you definitely need a Mitch Morse jersey. And you need a photo of you with Mitch Morse, which would be easy. Whenever Buffalo plays. And I'm sure
it's typically on the same day the Cowboys play, as the
imagine
Sundays are concerned.
After the season they had last year, winning the AFC East, I would imagine they've got more Monday night and Sunday night games than usual since the Jim Kelly, Marv Levy era. So you need a Mitch Morse jersey, and you represent the Bills whenever and somebody goes, "Hey man, what's up with the Mitch Morse jersey?" He's my friend. I grew up with him. Damn it. I like that a lot. That's a great idea.
If I were to ever get a jersey, it would be gifted. The only jersey I've ever bought myself of all the jerseys I've owned was the number 8 Texas one, and I got it for half off because the shippers were leaving Texas at that point and graduating.
You are all about the savings. Ooh, that's a half off jersey.
You know.
Woo. All right, I got to ask Dave Ayler, who grew up in the St. Louis area. So obviously he was a St. Louis Cardinals baseball fan. We know he's a St. Louis Blues hockey fan. Might have been a St. Louis Cardinals football fan before they moved to Arizona. Dave Ayler, what was the first sports jersey you ever had?
The very first one I had was a Lou Brock.
Nice.
And number 24.
Number 24, Lou Brock.
7 or 8 years old, I think.
Baseball Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
At least at one point had most stolen bases in baseball history.
So Ricky Henderson came and broke it.
So Henderson, yeah, okay. Lou Brock.
But I've got the 2 Blues jerseys. One's a throwback and one's the current one they use.
Who are these St. Louis Blues hockey players that you have their jerseys?
None. I'm with Shannon. You know, I'm loyal to a team, not a player.
Oh, so they're just what? They're just jerseys.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no name on the back.
There's no name on the back, but they're numbered, right? There's a number on it. No. They're St. Louis Blues jerseys with no number.
Yeah, it's just it's a replica jersey that doesn't have a number on the back. I have a
That's weird. I'm going to get a Cowboys jersey and have no number on it.
Yeah, well, that's football. You know, on the football jersey, you have it on the front and back.
Right.
On the Blues jerseys and Cardinals too, you have the team logo on the front,
but
nothing on the back.
A number on the back though.
No.
In hockey, there's no number on the back.
Yeah, but
Wayne Gretzky was 99.
Right. If you buy the player with the number on the back, yeah. But otherwise, you would just buy it and there's nothing on it. I have a Cardinals jersey from the 2011 World Series that doesn't have a player on the back.
Yeah, none of my soccer jerseys have numbers. We're just
all right.
And then, the ones I have hanging on my wall, those are all signed. But I have Jack Lambert and Troy Polamalu and Bob Gibson,
and those are signed.
Yeah, and Earl Campbell.
Nice. So were they signed by you? So in other words,
no, I didn't take.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, you were in the presence of Earl Campbell when he signed his number 20 jersey.
That one I think I got bought in an auction.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Yeah,
he's out and about all the time. You can see him on the street corner here.
Bring him down here. I'll buy a new jersey and get him signed by it.
He's the coolest dude ever.
See, I think it's better when you get the autograph, and now, of course, since we all have smartphones, then you get a photo of Earl Campbell signing your jersey, and you stand it next to Earl. Then you're golden. Then you frame the jersey and you put the photo of Earl signing the jersey to you.
Hey, Earl, if you're listening, come on down. I'll bring a jersey you can sign and make everybody happy.
I'm sure he's listening. We're beaming into Austin. I'm sure he's listening. So there's that.
We're on his preset.
Woo! Exactly.
Pretty sure.
And I do have the Ozzie Smith throwback that I was wearing on opening day.
Very nice. The Wizard of Oz.
It was the championship blue 82 World Series.
Sweet.
Jersey.
Sweet. So Shannon, I did mention, we talked a little bit about the Milwaukee Bucks getting blown out by the Brooklyn Nets last night, 125-86. Many people believe that longest tenured Greg Popovich disciple, Mike Budenholzer, Coach Bud, is on the hot seat as coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. That was the second largest playoff loss in Milwaukee Bucks history. They lost by 39 points last night to the Brooklyn Nets. Back in 2015, they lost by 54 points to the Chicago Bulls, which is insane to lose a playoff game or any game by 54 points, but they did. So anyway, just there's that. We are on a Mike Budenholzer firing watch, which is so sad because he's a very good guy and has led the Bucks to many, 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 many regular season wins. Tonight, Philadelphia hosting the Atlanta Hawks in the early game. Late game, Utah hosting the Clippers. Any doubt in your mind, Shannon, that Philadelphia evens up this series 1-1 at home tonight against Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks?
I don't think so. As long as Embiid stays on the floor throughout the game, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. And Utah Clippers am I going to be happy or sad tonight? Is Kawhi going to win or lose tonight in game 1 at Utah?
I'm going to go with Vegas and take the Jazz.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kawhi.
-4.
Always good to hear you, Kawhi. So we asked the question this morning, our poll question, Shannon, who will emerge, and there's no way it can be anybody but Brooklyn, right? Who can emerge out of the East? Who's going to win the Eastern Conference of the NBA this year?
Yeah, 75% saying the Nets. 20%, apparently 20% of voters didn't watch last night's game because they are saying the Bucks.
Oh, my God.
Barring a true miracle. And then 4% giving some love to the Hawks. Nobody voting.
Trae Young, baby. Nobody says the Sixers. 0. Amazing. Now, who yesterday, who did we determine was coming out of the West based on our listeners?
I think it was the Clippers.
Oh, my God. So Clippers, there you have it. That's what the NBA would want right now. Clippers versus Brooklyn Nets in the finals. You heard it here first, based on you, the listeners to this show. Clippers Nets.
2 of the most disliked superstars.
Yes.
James Harden versus Kawhi Leonard.
I'm just going to have 2 voodoo dolls throughout the whole series. That's what I'm going to have.
I'd watch that.
Yeah. Shannon Salty Sweeney, enjoy your evening with your friend on the new outdoor furniture with the flatbread, the salad, and the wine.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
You having Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, red wine? What kind of wine you
I've
having?
got lots of options. I've got lots of alcohol, so it'll be up to her choosing.
Lots of alcohol coming. Dave Ayler, great job, sir.
Thank you.
Let's do this again tomorrow in 21 hours.
Let's do it.
Why the heck not? Tanner Carlson, always outstanding. Talking Cowboy contracts today. Have yourself a great Taco Tuesday. We will see you in 21 hours. Aaron Rodgers, get to minicamp. Adios, amigos. See y'all later. Adios.